Let's talk about codependency within mentorship, because this is something that I see happening across the board, of course, in mentorship and in relationships in general. And I know this is also something that many of you are focusing on within your own relationships, both in and out of business. And something that I feel like I've also been kind of straddling over the years is I notice that every year as it gets closer to my birthday, usually around like September, October, my birthday's in November, I start getting kind of like really repelled and over listening to anything outside of my own intuition. And there's been multiple years now where I've heard that voice, I've heard that intuition, and maybe I did pause for a month or 2 or 3 where I wasn't really listening to outside voices anymore. I wasn't really leaning into my mentorship. I wasn't really asking questions. I wasn't really letting myself be visible or seen or held or supported. I was just kind of floating and doing my own thing. And it was always around this question of like, do I just need to take time to listen to my own intuition for like a year? Like, do I literally just need to like cut everything out for a year? Like, not listen to any podcast episodes, not do any new courses, not invest in any masterminds, not have any one-on-one. Because there's been different years where I've been like, oh, maybe it's just that I need to be in more of a quiet mastermind space. And then that's the thing that will help me really tap back into my own voice again. Because that's where it ends up coming from, is this place of like feeling like other people's voices are louder in my head than my own. And it's not a constant thing, but it's something that I just notice always comes to this peak around fall. And I don't know if that's just based on or because of the natural ebb and flow of the seasons. I don't know if that's because of my own solar return, like that's my own, new year. But it's just a pattern that I've noticed. And so since about September of this year, 2025, I've been like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna fully surrender and listen to this year. 100%. Like, I am, from this point forward, done investing in anything. Like, I'm not joining any more masterminds. I'm not paying for any more one-on-one. I'm not joining any more low-ticket offers. I'm not joining any more challenges. Like, I am not joining anything for the next year. This is it. I am done. No more. Kaput. I am giving myself 1 year of just going inside, listening to myself, really allowing myself to be my own oracle. And I did that for a few months. I did that September, October, and most of the month of November. And what's really freaking fascinating is I've gone to many in-person events before. I've attended many different things. Like, something that's really big in the Russell Brunson world is people want to hear him pitch. People want to be sold to because it's an experience. Because it's such a thing. And I'm like, I totally fall into that camp of like, when someone is about to pitch something, when someone's about to sell me something, I'm like, ooh, let me just like see what they're doing here. Let me like pay attention to their process. Let me pay attention to the different angles that they're hitting things. And a lot of different kinds of events that I've been to, including online events, where there's some kind of pitch at the end. Also, today is 27 weeks pregnant, and I'm starting to get tired again. It's the last week of second trimester, and I think I'm starting to feel that. Oops. Okay, so back to pitches. Many of these events that I've been to, the pitches are extremely hype-based. It's based on FOMO, it's based on you've got to get in right now, you've got to do it, or else you miss out on these 8,000 things. There was one event, I might have even made a podcast episode around it, that I went to where all of my friends had actually, all the friends that I had been at that event with, they had actually already signed up for the offer before the event started. And I want to say this was like a 4-day in-person event, and on like either the second or third day, they started splitting things up where it was like, if you're already inside the offer, you get to go to this like VIP thing for lunch and for dinner, which for me was very just like, okay, cool, there goes all my friends. I'm like, I don't want to join this offer. Like, this offer is not for me. Obviously, I'm going to go meet new people and do my thing that way, but it just felt very high pressure, very gross, very icky, very, like, manipulative, and I didn't like it at all. And I've also been to events where there's, like, zero pressure, and the offer is, like, barely even mentioned, and there's not really a pitch. It's just kind of like, hey, I have this thing, it's on sale for this weekend because you guys are here. Literally, that's it. Like, there's not really a pitch. And going into most events, I already know whether or not I want to invest in whatever their offer is. Like, obviously, I don't know exactly what their offer is going to be before I go into it, but I went into basically every event this year, and I went to like freaking 8, knowing that I did not want to sign up for whatever their offer was. And it wasn't because I was like, oh, I'm beyond this, or I don't need to learn from this mentor, or whatever it is. It was just from a place of like, I have enough support and I don't need more. I have the support I need, I'm using the support I want, and I don't need more. Like, that's it. And I feel like that's such a big thing that is so overhyped in the online industry in general, within the coaching industry, is people just saying like, invest at your edge and join multiple masterminds and be in multiple spaces all at once and do all these different things. And I've noticed this both with myself and with my clients, that the more that we do that, the more we dilute our own voice, the more we dilute our own intuition, the more we dilute our own self-trust, because we're just continuing to we're continuing to consume way more than we're able to create because of the sheer amount of things we've invested in, the amount of input that there is. Like, there's literally not enough time to be able to show up for all of the things we've invested in, plus show up for ourselves in our own business, in our own leadership, for our own clients, creating new offers, creating the things that are actually going to support us in growing our impact and our income, because we're too busy learning all of the things, addicted both to learning and distracting ourselves, and also addicted to outsourcing what we know and outsourcing our own self-trust to somebody else that in the moment we perceive knows better than we do, which is never ever true, right? People have experience outside of what we do, but ultimately you always know what's best for you, and that's what I'm always telling my clients is like, here's some ideas, here's what we could go, here's the route I would go if I was you, and if any part of that doesn't feel fun and fantastic and amazing and like exciting for you and magnetic and like it's pulling you forward, then just say no. Like, you are the ultimate decision maker in your business. You get to make all the decisions. And so I went into Freedom Queen Live last week really feeling the same thing, really knowing I don't want to sign up for whatever the offer is. Like, I'm doing my own thing this year. I'm good. And even throughout the weekend, after I heard the pitch the first time, I was just kind of like, interesting. I feel really neutral. Like, I feel drawn to this, but I feel really neutral. I don't feel the hype and the like FOMO that I usually feel around investing in things like this. Usually it's more of a, oh, well, all my friends joined, so I feel like I should join, but I know I shouldn't join from that place because that's not going to get me results. Or it's coming from a place of like, well, what if I don't join this and then I miss out on whatever my like year of growth could have been because I didn't sign up for this thing. And so, like, again, it's coming from this place of like FOMO rather than from a place of like neutrality and groundedness and certainty and calmness. And I actually sat with it for, I think, 2 days, because I felt drawn to the offer, but it wasn't like, I knew I didn't need it. I finally knew I didn't need the offer. I knew that I could absolutely get to my goals next year by continuing to only listen to my intuition, by continuing to only do my own thing. And also, as we all know, as we just discussed, I'm having my first kid next year. I'm having my first baby in like February, March. And I've never done that before. I have no idea what that's going to come with. I have no idea what that experience is going to be like. I have no idea how my mental health is going to shift and change throughout that time, how my perception of the world and my business and myself and my clients and my relationship with my business and everything is going to shift as a result of that. I have ideas. I have many different mom friends that I've talked to about their experience. I would say specifically female mom entrepreneur friends who shared their experience of what they went through during like becoming a mother within their business. But I don't actually know what that's going to look like. And I've had a little bit of, I don't even know if fear is really the word with that. It's just been a little bit of like, I'm curious. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. I'm curious to see what that's going to feel like. And last year, at this same event, Freedom Queen Live, I ended up connecting with so many moms, whether they were first-time moms or they were pregnant with their second one or they had 3 or they had more. But all the conversations that I kept on like magnetizing were moms. And they were all talking about their experience of being a mom and being an entrepreneur and being in Bridget's world. And to be honest, Bridget and I met in a different mastermind a few years ago, and I really, really saw her as a peer, and I've probably had my own ego shit about that for a long time, not just with her, but with many different people of like, oh, we're peers. We don't need to hire each other to learn from each other. Like, we're peers. We're at the same level. We're equal. And of course, all of that's accurate, all of that's true, and there's so much that we can always learn from each other no matter fucking what. And so this year at the event, it was exactly the same thing. I ended up connecting with a mom. I don't even know when I met her a few years ago. And we ended up pretty much hanging out this entire conference, this entire weekend. And she had her little, I think like maybe 6-month-old with her. And there was so many other moms that I had met last year who were either pregnant last year and had their little babies with them this time, or who had their first last year and they had the second one with them this year. And it really just felt more like a home coming, a home calling, rather than this like big fear and FOMO of like, what if I miss out? Oh my god, what if I don't do this? What if? Like, it wasn't coming from fear at all. It wasn't coming from FOMO at all. It wasn't coming from hype at all. And what I started to notice as I just sat with this decision for a couple of days was, you know what? If I picture myself, I visualize, this is how I make these decisions, by the way. I literally visualize myself saying yes and just like noticing what I feel in my body and try and take myself through the next year of just like, okay, if I say yes, what does my life look like for the next year? If I say no, what does my life look like for the next year? And saying no felt more like grief rather than FOMO, rather than fear, rather than hype. Like, it felt like grief. It felt like, oh man, I actually really want that. I actually really want to be in this connection, to be in this community, to be supported in this way by this person who I've seen support so many other new moms through their journey of entrepreneurship, through this phase. And actually for the last year, I've been in a different mentorship, a different mastermind, also very specifically for moms. And it was just a very different vibe. Like, I noticed that this was actually something that I wanted rather than something that felt forced, felt like I needed to do it or else, felt like codependent. And this is something I just really want you guys to be paying attention to, especially coming into the new year, because there's so many different perspectives and different things and different opportunities. I would say really to override your intuition, to override what you know is true, to override what you know you need. And so just like, give yourself that space, give yourself that time. If you need to take a few days, if you need to take a week to think about something, do it. Like, listen to yourself, because once I did say yes to this, I ended up deciding to pay in full for it for the year. That's what felt best. I was like, I don't want payments. I don't want monthly payments. I just want this done. I just want it fucking paid for. And I've never paid in full this much before. And it was literally like the calmest payment that I've ever done. It felt like fun and exciting and expansive, but it also just felt so fucking chill. And I don't remember if I said this earlier, but for me, even this pitch felt the same way. It felt very grounded. It felt very calm. It didn't feel very hypey. There wasn't this big separation between like, you get to do this if you join, you don't get to do this if you don't join. You miss out on this if you don't join today. You get 500 extra things if you do join today. And that just felt really fucking good. And so I also reflect all of this to you guys to say, notice your own buying patterns, notice your own buying experiences, and notice when you feel really, really good about purchasing versus when you end up having buyer's remorse, when you end up feeling like shit, when you end up feeling regret, when you end up feeling judged or shamed or guilted around a sale. And set up your own offers in the same way. Set up your own payment experiences in the way that you enjoy experiencing. So, hilariously, I had notes for this. I have not looked at them at all. So I'm just going to briefly look at my notes and see if there's anything else that I wanted to say about this. Yeah, talked about wanting to go in. Yeah, and obviously, like, notice your own patterns with all of this of just, like, if you've done anything similar where you're like, okay, I want to go inwards, I want to be quiet, I want to shut the world out, I want to go off grid. I know so many of you, I want to quit my business. I know so many of you have been there and felt that. And I think it's very, very normal. I think everybody feels that in entrepreneurship multiple times, at least probably a few times a year. Especially if you are a bleeding woman, like every month, about every 30 days in luteal, you probably feel this. But just notice during those cycles, like, just notice the cycle itself. Like, do you have a specific cycle with buying where every year at a certain time you're like, ooh, I really want to buy I want to get all the freebies, I want to buy all the low ticket things, I want to buy all the courses, I want to join multiple masterminds, I want to hire a bunch of different team members that I don't really need, like, I want to buy everything. Do you go through different burnout cycles every year where every year you get to the same point where it's like, oh, I want to quit everything, I want to drop everything, I want to leave my business, I want to go off grid? Like, is that a cycle? And do you have cycles where you feel like you should just do it all alone? And again, just noticing, like, what are your patterns? Because once you recognize the pattern, you can choose whether or not you want to do something about it and say, oh, this is a pattern, I'm going to actually listen to it and go into it this year. Or, oh, this is a pattern, this is actually a pattern that's not supporting me, I don't want to go into it, I actually want to transmute this, I want to transform this, let me choose something different this time. Okay, another really big piece around this one for me was, like I told you guys, I was feeling grief instead of, like, FOMO and regret. And I was really noticing my own body's internal cues of feeling expansion versus contraction around it, because in the past, sometimes when I've invested in things or when I've even, like, just been in these rooms and, like, considered investing in different things, it's felt more like contraction rather than expansion. And there's a lot of, like, buyer psychology being used around all of that makes you feel like, in your brain, it should feel like expansion. And I'm feeling this contraction because I'm just scared. But it's like, sometimes that's actually accurate and it's not the thing for you. It's actually just fucking contraction. It's not expansion. And something that I really committed to this year for myself is, when I said yes to this, I said, okay, this payment represents me no longer doing any passive learning. I only get to join this if I implement fucking everything. If I question, I don't want to say question nothing, but question nothing in the sense of, like, not just sit on things for months and months when I have an idea, just fucking move. And that's oftentimes what I do, but sometimes when a mentor brings up something and I don't immediately feel that, like, ooh, yes, I kind of hesitate, and it might take me 6 months or a year before I'm finally like, oh, that actually was a good idea. And so now, this year, my promise to myself is to just trust and implement, and trust that, like, okay, this woman that I'm investing to learn from is doing something that I want to do, in the way that I want to do it. And I've watched her help countless other women around me do it at rapid speed over the last couple of years. I'm just going to trust her. And I'm going to trust myself to know when is the right time to implement and to do the thing, or to sit on it and think about it and contemplate it and avoid it, really, distract myself for a long, long time. And so that might be something that you need to make to yourself too, of no more passive learning, because I know, again, It's so much fun to buy all of the things, to get all the freebies, to buy all the low ticket things, to get all to literally collect courses and then never open them and never use them. I know. I'm not judging you. I do it too. And this is why I had to make this promise to myself of like, no more, I'm done. I'm done just buying shit for the sake of it. And it literally, okay, something else, another like practical thing that you can do that I started doing a few weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago now. I'm still in the process because I'm subscribed on email to so many different things, but I'm trying to think of how to explain how to do this so you guys can do it yourselves. Basically, I started making, I think in Google Mail, it's just called like an action or something, so that every single time I get an email from a specific person, which is someone that I typically would buy courses from, it puts it into my archive right away. And I think that's it. It just literally puts it into my archive right away rather than it going to my inbox, which means I do not see any of those emails. But if I'm like getting emails about updates to my courses or things that are important, I can go and look for them. So if I'm like going through previous programs that I bought, which is part of my plan for next year, is like, I'm going to go through all the shit that I've bought over the years that I have not even touched yet. But if for some reason I don't have access to something, I can still go in and check those out. So I'm not unsubscribing from all of them, because a lot of them I don't want to fully unsubscribe from, because it's often a pain in the ass to get back on their email list afterwards. So that's what I'm doing, is just distracting the actual freaking noise and distraction, so that I'm not constantly being bombarded with buy this, not because they're not helpful things, but because I genuinely am in a place in my business where I do not need that anymore. Same thing with Instagram. I'm muting everybody or unfollowing, just so that I do not have that noise, and I'm no longer tempted to be passively learning. This is what I was going to say, is I got an email, or maybe I was looking for it. I think I was looking for something from a specific mentor, and she had sent a program out that she did live last year, and she's running it again this year in January, and I was very tempted. I was like, ooh, it's like a multiple week kind of social media challenge thing, and I was like, ooh, maybe I should do that again this year, because it's going to be updated, it's going to be new things with new strategies for the new year, blah blah blah. And I was almost convincing myself to sign up for it, and then I was like, no, I still have multiple of her other programs that I have not gone through that are also around social media. There's actually someone else that I want to learn social media from. Like, there's so many different things, and I'm like, no, just stop, this is not needed. So just really mastering that distinction between consuming guidance and actually refining mastery, because that's what I'm always telling my clients, is that you've got to scale, you have to be in a phase of refinement, not constant creation. Like, in the beginning of your business, you're in constant creation. You're making new things over and over and over again. You're seeing what works. You're seeing what people like. You're seeing all the things. When you have a solid business and you're wanting to scale it up more, it's about refinement. It's not about how many more billions of different things can I create every month. And so, yeah, I'm really using mentorship this year as a mirror to really see where I'm avoiding things, where I'm resisting things, where I am, just like not fully stepping into my next level in the way that I could, in the way that I want to, while also staying extremely fucking relaxed and chill and calm. So, yeah, it's really about, this next year is really about self-trust and presence. Ooh, another just kind of like interesting little thing is that next year, which is also so interesting for having a baby, I think this year is my 9 year in numerology, and next year is a 1. So literally this is like the ending of one era and the beginning of a new era, which is fucking wild. And then another, like a different area of my numerology makes it so that next year for me is a foundation year. So the structure that I'm building, again, has to be about refinement, not accumulation. Not just accumulating more and more and more and more and more. Because for a lot of you, it's the same thing. Your next level isn't new information. It's integration. It's refinement. So, okay, final couple little things here is just reflect on, where are you confusing isolation with independence? And what is one place that you can commit to refinement instead of more input today? It doesn't need to wait until January 1st. You can do it right now. Send me a message on Instagram and let me know. Really I really encourage you to define your own refinement promise here. Define your own refinement promise. That's a tongue twister. Alright, send me a message on Instagram. Let me know how you're going to do this. I can't wait to hear from you.